Yu-Gi-Oh is a game encapsulated by the most peaceful community where nothing ever goes wrong. Except when it does. Stealing, deception, moral dilemmas. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! Drama Time, where myself, DZ, and Nimnim will be reading your submitted stories to decide who was truly in the wrong and who was at fault. Am I the asshole, or are you? Stick to the end if you want to learn how to submit your stories. YouTube, welcome back to another little story time. Get your coffee, snuggle up, because we've got some tales for you. Joined with me, of course, is a portion of the Wonky Quartet, Gaga and Dada. How we doing? Excited?
Oh man, always glad
excited
to be sitting around the round table with my boys.
Yup.
Let's just take it away. How about you lead, Doug?
So back when I first joined the game, I was a young member of the United States Air Force. I had gotten into Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel. That's the intro. I had gotten into Yu-Gi-Oh! Due to Master Duel, and I really loved Dragon Maids, as I was and still am a furry. No, a fan of Mo Blob anime. I don't know what that is.
What is that? What's
Blob anime.
Mo Blob?
Mo
I don't know if
Blob?
I'm the right person for this.
Someone
It's
here
not
will.
capitalized? Is it a type of anime?
Someone here will know what the hell that means. I don't know what it is though.
I spent hundreds of dollars to play in person, and I even found someone to play against regularly. However, I noticed that the MTG group was way bigger, so I wondered if I could maybe steal some of their players to play with us. For context, their local community used Discord, so I began to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! In there to try and drum up some chatter and gauge interest.
Reference.
I say that I want to look into buying a live twin and trap trick stack, captioning it with a picture of the live twin link 4.
Can you just wait? Can you just picture what this guy looks like based on the archetypes he's playing?
Oh, come on.
He's
Live
rich.
twin,
He's in the Air
doing?
Force.
Dragon Maid?
Dude,
Come
he could
on,
probably
dude.
beat the shit out of all three of us. And
Yeah, that's hey man. Most people could beat the shit out of me. Doesn't matter what they're into.
A woman by the name of Head Judging, shout out to Cube, who is on the older side of people who can join the military, like 30s, pings the admins of the Discord server. What possible reason did she... Okay, so I think these servers that he's in are part of the... Maybe like on base or something.
Yeah, I fact-checked this. Apparently the US military, like, actually uses Discord. I don't know if it's probably not for real
Everyone
operations.
uses it. It's just, what else are you gonna use? She goes on to accuse me of posting hentai. I got
no.
and needed to be in for announcements for the military. I then got called to my supervisor's office the next day, explained what happened. My supervisor ruled to keep the server muted on my account. For context, the only other time anyone else was muted when someone else implied a racial slur. Okay, racial slur is posting Trouble Sunny. I mean, seems equal to me.
It was just a normal picture of Rafflesia and Trouble Sunny, and this guy got server muted. And the fact that the supervisor doubled down is crazy.
I don't know. I guess are we asking? The obvious answer is you're not the asshole, if that's what we're going with. But like, this is one of those things where it's like, do you think the person issuing the punishment is like you guys have heard the stories of like Christian parents being like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the devil. Like
I lived it. Yeah.
Do you think it's like an extremity like that? Like she's just unaware of. Do you think she even knows what hentai is? Like,
I mean, if you see like, you know, revealing dressed Yu-Gi-Oh! Card artwork and you don't know anything about anime, you might, I guess, look at it and be like, whoa.
He should post some hentai to show him what it really is.
Yeah, I feel like
a side-by-side comparison.
I think he sent
the
over
live twins. I guarantee it's out there.
You know where he screwed up? He sent over the OCG artworks in the group chat. That's what he did.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So I just wanted to start off with a funny one here, but
I think that you can put. I think the live twins are good enough to put in your little locket. You can think back at home, like this is what I'm fighting for.
In the heat of war, counting down the final minutes, you got to bust out the locket.
It's like I could use a pop and a draw right now. Where's that level of link for?
Pop and a draw.
This brings up another question. How do people get? I should know, I guess, because it's my country. But how do you get cards at an airbase? Like,
don't they just have like a PO box?
You're next to a town. You can go do whatever you want. You don't have to stay on the base.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
It's just like barracks. It's just so everyone's like in one area, but you can like leave.
Oh, dude, the U.S. military locals, like, is that a thing? That's probably a thing, right?
Oh,
Like,
probably. That's
if you
probably
get
what
a
he was
bunch of them
talking
together,
about. Like,
yeah.
I think
Do you
it
think
was
they
like
get
a group
OTS
of
packs?
card game players. Yeah.
Official OTS, like
Do you
Fort
think they get
Knox
OTS?
base.
Mhm, mhm.
This is a story from over 10 years ago featuring myself soul eating over Raptor. My friends and I always got together for a sleepover at our friend Yugioh's house before events. Our group had about 8 of us and we would always do this the night before regionals. And the regionals were held at our locals, the Aroma Garden, as it was the biggest in our area. At one regional during September 2013 Dragon Ruler format, Yugioh invited one of the pro players' friends over to our hangout, who is known as Little D. We had all known Little D for years throughout our locals every Saturday, but this was the first time he was actually associating with our group, so to say. Little D only had Evil Swarm, and he asked to borrow a bunch of cards, put together a post-ban list Dragon Ruler deck, as all of the babies had been popped by the ban list. Everyone else had extras of everything except for the infamous staple, the short printed Vanity's Emptiness. I had a playset, and since I was judging, I wasn't using them. We all thought that Little D, being a few years older than us 16 and 18-year-olds, and being part of the pro player
hard
group,
lesson one, isn't it?
being a few years older than us, 16 and 18-year-olds, and being part of the pro player group, we figured he would be trustworthy. Little D went
the opposite.
Oh, really? You don't think, like, by association, there's, what's the word, character references when you're part of, like, an established group at a locals?
I think younger players, 16 to 18-year-olds, overestimate how trustworthy I think they put too much. Anyway, you can keep reading. I just think that a lot of the pro players are actually a little,
Nah. Thoughts, Gage?
Like pro players being assholes?
I'll say this. My locals,
not quite, but...
back in the day when I was a kid, there were a lot of us that looked up to, like, the good players that, like, once I grow up, I'm like, oh, they were, like, kind of...
Oh, yeah. I used to
losers
play
and
with this guy. It's almost, like, humbling, right? Like, I used to play at a library, and there was this one guy that I could not beat. Nobody could beat at the local library, this guy. And he played freaking Naturia with Bamboo Shoot. Imagine trying to out Bamboo Shoot when you're first getting into the game. So everyone just thought he was like the greatest on earth. And then I go to a locals, I get my ass beat at a locals, and I realize this guy doesn't know shit. He's not good at this game at all.
It's crazy when you look back in hindsight. There was one guy at my locals who I played for the first time ever many years ago, and he introduced himself as the best Six Samurai player in Scotland. For context, it was Dragon Ruler format, so he was the only Six Samurai player in Scotland.
Well, he's not wrong. He is the best because he's the only one, right?
Little D went X3 drop for round 3, and then he just vanished without giving anyone back their cards. 6 months later, at the next regional, right after the release of Primal Origin, Little D showed up again. And it turns out during round 4, Little D had left his phone unattended, and someone at the regional had taken it. Little D made a huge scene about it and asked every single player at the regional to enter the restroom one by one and leave it on the restroom sink, and there would be no questions asked. Naturally, no one was going to do this, and the head judge said it was his problem, and we were not going to delay round 5 by 2 hours while he tries to get his phone back. Little D stormed out and we never saw him again. Next Saturday, at the Aroma Garden, a person at our locals outside of our group came up to us and showed us a selfie of himself posing with Little D's stolen phone. He had sold it and was bragging about taking the phone. I never told anyone except our group, and we all laughed and thought that he deserved it for taking our cards all those months ago. Looking back, I feel like Little D deserved what happened, but we never told him that we found who took it. The pro player group have long since abandoned Little D for other reasons, but it still doesn't make me feel any less shitty. So, am I the asshole for not exposing the phone karma?
No.
Really?
I mean, it's like petty, but that is something I would do. I guess my question is, these are 16 to 18-year-olds. How old do you think this pro player Little D with? Because if you're a grown-ass adult throwing a fit over getting your phone stolen, first of all, I never let that thing leave my sight. But also, like, you're a hypocrite. Like, what are you expecting? You stole somebody.
Two wrongs don't make a right, Gage.
I don't know, man. Here's
the thing, right? If he just got the phone taken, it would have been like, haha, that's karma. Like, I get it. But the fact that they found out who had it and didn't report it, like, two wrong. I hate to say it, but, like, I think that in the same way that people could look at it as him getting karma from taking those cards, which was not right at all, I think that you not reporting him then puts you in a bad karma situation. Like, I legitimately, like, I totally understand the situation, and, like, I totally get hanging out with older players that are pros that you think are nice and then they steal your stuff. But I don't know. Like, two wrongs don't make a right.
I'll also say
can't.
I
like,
am
morally, I couldn't.
I'll also say I'm genuinely shocked that this guy came back to a locals after like robbing.
The audacity.
I can't. And I'm actually also surprised that they let him back in. Like, you don't think anybody said, "Hey, that guy is a known thief. Like, why are we letting him play to locals?" I don't know, man. If you stole somebody and you showed back up, like, you would get your ass beat.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you some stories at Orlando about that.
4 months ago, you stole my Draco sack. Get over here. I'm making your cheeks beat red, buddy. Like, I can't believe he came back and they let him come back. I'm like so stunned at that.
So there's two ways to look at this, right? There is two polar extremes when it comes to, shall we say, vigilantism and taking the law into your own hands. There's, on one side, you have eye for an eye, like for like, and you deserve what you get as a response because of the way you act. The opposite end of that is two wrongs don't make a right, and you don't take the law into your own hands in that way. It really is just, you know, if we go by the letter of the law, obviously you shouldn't do that. That's illegal. You should report it. My opinion, if I see someone, I wouldn't do it personally. I'm not the kind of person to be vengeful or whatever. I'm very I like grace, forgiveness. Those are important things to me. But I'm also very non-judgmental. And if you decide to take things into your own hands, provided that you're not really actively doing something horrible, officer, I didn't see anything. I didn't see shit. So I ain't narking in that situation. I'm being real.
I would never.
Morally, I can't I'm not gonna say in the poor people stealing an apple situation, but morally, I can't get on board. I would not be able to just let someone steal something and not that you have to.
But he stole so many cards from their whole group. Can't you empathize with how fucked up that is and how pissed off they'd be?
Yeah, but morally, that I really don't think two wrongs make it right. I think that I'm not gonna be in the majority here, but legitimately, not that you have to go out of your way to get the phone back, but an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind.
You're so wholesome, Doug.
I am on the eye for an eye thing though. I'd smash the phone, I'd sell it, whatever.
Gage, can you, dude? We don't need to go that far.
He deserved this. I don't know, man. I think people are beyond redemption, right? I believe in due time people can change who they are, right? But it's different from being an asshole, just being a mean person, and being a thief. I don't know. I feel like there's consequences to it, right?
You don't think there's some immaturity here from being very young? This person might be 19, 20, 21 perhaps, because they just said he was just a little older. You're still. I look back at some of the decisions I had made when I was 21 or something, and
I've never
wow.
stole anything from anybody else though. I was a little shitty kid, right? I was a little a bully to some people and stuff like that.
Okay, but maybe you were not a kleptomaniac, but you probably
never stole anything from somebody.
Okay, but you've probably done other terrible things. You ever done any war crimes, Gage?
War crimes.
No war crimes. Zero war crimes on my end, dude. I don't know, man. I feel like it takes a specific person to willingly steal from somebody else.
And I think it takes a specific person to let stealing go scot-free.
Okay, see, Doug, I think that's interesting because fair enough. Because I'm taking the position of just okay, I wouldn't do that, but if I know someone did it, then, I'm not judging you. But would you say you would actively, narc on that dude?
I don't know why, this whole thing of, narking, acknowledging that, a crime happened, if that's what narking is, I guess so, I just can't, I feel like I'm getting attacked right here, but, I can't. I honestly, morally could not just watch someone getting something stolen, even if they quote unquote deserve it. I totally understand the guy that wrote this not reporting it, especially at a younger age. I totally understand that. I don't think they're an asshole for that, but I'm just saying personally, I could not have knowledge of a stealing situation and then in my mind, the person that stole the phone is just as bad as the person that stole the cards. They're both shouldn't be stealing. I don't know.
I think there's a level of a reality check to it though. Having this happen to that person, I can't say for sure, but I would be hesitant to steal from somebody else again, because now I know how it feels, right? I've had my phone taken away from me. Oh my God, I'm panicking. This sucks. What do I do? Like, maybe up until this point, Little D never had to experience that, right? He's just been stealing from people with no consequences. And I think, and granted, we don't know his age, dude, a lot of kids can just get away with shit like that because they're a kid and nobody wants to punish the kid, right? Oh, they're too young. They don't know any better.
If someone at
ridiculous.
Locals that I didn't know was gloating about stealing a phone, like, fuck them. Like,
it's not just a phone. It's a phone of a known thief and asshole, though. Like, it's not just a phone.
It's a bit of context there, right?
We're allowed to disagree.
Yeah, I fully respect your choice, Doug. Yeah, no,
I do follow, the law to a T, unfortunately.
Doug, the kind of guy to not run a red light.
Is that a diss?
Is that like a...
What a weird... Yeah, what do you mean? Yeah, sorry, I don't run red... Like, what do you mean?
Doug,
Look at this loser only going through green lights.
Okay, wait, this is an interesting question. What if it was a like-for-like thing, Doug? What if instead of stealing a phone, he, like, stole his, like, playset of expensive cards for the Vanity's Emptiness, right? What if it was like-for-like?
Stealing?
Still stealing.
Wrong. Stealing is wrong. Like I like we can sit here and debate about it, but I'm just gonna be honest. I think stealing is wrong unless it's like a super weird circumstance with like stealing food to like stay alive. But like obviously that's aside. Like I just personally think stealing is wrong. I don't know.
Doug is too virtuous. I'm sending this man's name to the Pinkertons.
No, I fully respect that position. It's pretty unanimous, though. It looks like the chat has voted the 80% as Little D being the asshole, and Overraptor apparently deserved what he got.
Because he is an asshole. Like, that's... Like, I'm not debating that.
No, okay, but we're voting on, like, who's most wrong, and I guess...
you should have a third option for... The situation sucks. I don't know why you don't have that.
I mean, there is a everybody sucks here option. Yeah.
No, there's no nuance. There's no black and white. It's binary, yes or no. L take, W take. That's how life works.
Black and white. What are you talking about?
This story begins with me, Buster Dragon, shortly after I graduated college in 2022 and quit my restaurant job. Now I had free weekends to go to a locals to play Yu-Gi-Oh! After 4 years of super inconsistent play. The locals in my hometown stopped doing Yu-Gi-Oh! So I branched out to a different place about 30 minutes away. When I arrive, I realize that it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Day, so there's a good amount of people here trying to win the prize playmat and putting in some real effort. I bring my ABC Halka Fibrax Pow, and before I know it, I'm in contention to win the map by going undefeated. Holy crap, grats, dude, with the ABCs.
ABCs.
For context, the locals I went to previously was very sweaty and competitively focused. This new one was more casual-minded by quite a lot. People were still trying to win, but no one was playing $1,000 plus decks or anything like that. I get to the last round and my opponent's on Orchist. Call them Gearsu. At some point, I activated a Assault Core's Graveyard Effect, to which Gearsu asked, "What does that do?" And I told him it adds a piece back. Do you want to read it? He shakes his head, and we continue. A game later, Gearsu links into Nightmare Unicorn on my turn and tries to spin away my Therian King Regulus, equipped with A. Was Regulus out with Halka Fibrax?
In 2022, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man, so nothing happened. Gearsu asked if they could retarget with Unicorn because they didn't realize that Regulus was protected by A, to which I denied because a misplay like that would not have flown at my previous store. Gearsu then proceeded to argue that I had misrepresented the game state when, earlier in the duel, I told Gearsu what A, Assault Core's a grave effect was, but admittedly, I didn't mention the Union effect. At this point, it was accepted game state, and I ended up winning 2-0 and the playmat, but I still felt bad about this interaction at the event.
That is, I guess, a ruling thing. I do have...
I've had this happen before. I very, very strongly believe, read your cards. It's a huge part of the game. I fuck up all the time, and I get angry about it. But whose fault is it? It's mine. I didn't read the card. So
especially because like he asked him if he wanted to read it. Like I'll tell you guys, like if anyone has played against me to YCS, like I play Exo Sister as the deck that no one knows. For a long time I have not I don't summarize the effects of stuff to people. I'm like, I want you to read the card because I don't want situations like this to happen. So like if I wouldn't even like if someone asks me what does it do, I literally hand them the card, because then if anything like this happens, it's like you had a chance to, like I'm always happy to have people read cards. No, the ABC player is totally not in the wrong here. Like it is on his, like it sucks, but like you don't need to like coach your opponent by reading every single, like he was activating the graveyard effect. The guy asked what the graveyard effect did. He told him and then said, do you want to read it? And the guy said, no. Like, I don't know. Like,
I know me personally, I always laugh and I say, holy crap, it's the secret effect. It's not really a secret. It's printed on the card. It's just, it's the one paragraph after the most important paragraph that nobody reads, right? So I don't know. It's a very dense game. A lot of cards do a lot of things.
I think it's just a great example of like why, like this is my total justification for why I do that. Like I legitimately, I want, like unless there's like, you know, if someone's really like, no, I just read the card. I don't want to miss anything. Maybe I missed something. Like, I don't know.
I think Kevin did this to me in a friendly game one time. Like we were playing and he activated like a
some
hire card.
Fuck
and
that
I asked
guy.
him what it
Fuck
did,
that
and
guy.
he told me the first paragraph, and then apparently had a negate tacked onto it too, and he didn't tell me that.
Why did you
And I got
forget to
upset
tag
with him.
on
I
the
was like,
negate?
why didn't you just tell me about the second part when I asked what it did?
Because he wanted to win. Like next
Yeah.
like,
Good thing this was a friendly. Holy shit.
Yeah, good thing it was a friendly. But...
Yeah, no, for sure, not the asshole. Gearsu had the chance to read a card. He didn't read the card. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I do exactly what Doug says, by the way. I refuse to explain my cards because of that, this exact situation. Like, in my mind, right? Let's say, for example, this happened in like Macedon recently. This actually came up. So Nightmare Mermaid activates the effect to discard to special. Everyone knows that, right? But it also has this like other effect. Link monsters are reduced by 1,000 attack. If my opponent attacks into one of my guys and they have crashed because they didn't realize there's a damage debuff associated with it, like you can't blame me for not telling you that. If I summon Mermaid, activate the effect, and you ask me what it's, I'm not gonna tell you like I'm gonna tell you the contextual relevant effect at this time. That just makes more sense to me.
Okay, so it looks like we're
that's
all in
like
the
the whole
same
thing.
boat.
Like,
You
know,
agree,
I
Doug?
think
Are
that
you?
everyone's an Exosister player, but it's like that's the exact, like with the Exosister, like, you know, your opponent moves a card out of the graveyard effect. It's not like every time they're about to activate an effect that moves a card out of the graveyard, I'm like, oh wait a sec, realize that's gonna trigger my. It's like, no, like they can read the, I don't know. I think you just let them read all their cards.
All right, so moving on. This says spoiler discussion. Do not read the next part, but I mean, I think we're able to now.
Yeah.
Later, I emailed Kami to. Excuse me.
Call me.
Later, I emailed Konami to ask about the ruling, and they came back and said something to the effect of, your opponent should have just read your cards, but it is the responsibility of both players to maintain a proper game state. In a judge's call, it's likely that you would have been penalized for this. That's insane.
Yeah, let's
The
pause
game
here.
state is still entirely proper. What does that even mean?
It would have been like a warning, though. It would have been a warning.
Yeah. Based on that and my general bad feeling about the win, I talked with Gearsu at the next local. As a sign of good faith, I surrendered one game to Gearsu. Oh my god, why'd you do that? I surrendered one game to
Two things
Gearsu the
to
next
unfold here.
time we met in a tournament. I have relaxed a lot more when I'm at locals, and now we're good. Until this day, there are still people that joke that I should have given Gearsu the prize playmat.
Okay, let's
Why
start
are
with
we
point one
surrendering
here.
a later match? What a
Yeah,
weird thing to do.
Let's come back to that. But the first point here is, well, there's actually pushback now. So I guess the way to define it is lying by omission, right? If someone asks you what your card does and you leave something out, conversely, you could argue that you have misrepresented the game state.
I think when someone
by
asks,
not explaining the
but what I
entire-
learned from Kevin is when somebody asks, what does it do? They're asking what that exact effect you're activating at that point is doing, right?
I mean, it depends
don't
on the
need you-
wording of what does
Like,
your
if
card
I
do.
ask
Here's the thing, like I think Nadir and I both clearly do the same thing, like because I can't say what I would do. Like maybe I'd be like, okay, it has a, I would probably say if I got asked a question about a assault core and for some reason I wasn't allowed to just say read my fucking card, I would probably say that when it goes to the graveyard, it adds a piece back, and while equipped to something, it's unaffected by monster effects.
Yeah, 'cause
I would
the-
probably say that.
The union effect is not relevant at all in that moment. Like, not even a little, right? Like, you're using it to combo, right? The end board effect is relevant on, like, the next turn. So, I'm not going to start...
This is just, like, simply why I don't do it. Like, I
Yeah.
want to read my opponent's cards. I don't ask for my opponent to summarize stuff. I don't ask for me. I know that there's, like, a big meme of me not reading cards, but when I play, like, at real events, I think it's very important to not have either player summarize their cards.
I don't know. I actually, I do this a lot. Is like, if my opponent, I have no responses, they make their end board, I will ask my opponent at like the start of my turn. I'll be like,
What do you have?
what am I looking at? Like, can you tell me what some of the key things of your board are that I have to like be cognizant of?
Yeah,
like,
that's...
like
I would never do that in a competitive environment. No way. That's, like, a friendly type of thing. And if you would do that at a YCS?
No, not at a YCS, but I do it. I do it at locals a lot to like learn and stuff like that. But I don't expect my opponent
keep the pace up. Basically,
if I ask what it does, like I expect one of two responses. Either my opponent's going to tell me what like the things I have to worry about on the board are, or they're going to be like, just read the cards, and then I'll be like,
so
okay.
It's just like this is why you should read the card, because like yeah, it's tough.
I don't know.
If I know what a card does, I'm giving every single effect.
I think people also over exaggerate how much like it's on a card. Like, do you guys like? Is reading a Yu-Gi-Oh card like second nature to you guys? Like you see like a brick of text and like you're already
You did not just ask Doug that.
Non-Yu-Gi-Oh players don't understand.
You
right?
did not just ask Doug that question.
Doug doesn't read at all.
I do. What? No, like I totally get it. Like I think that's what non-Yu-Gi-Oh players don't understand is that like super long sentences, it usually just means like when this is summoned, grab a search, but it's 2 sentences and people get scared.
Yeah, so I think the interesting thing with Yu-Gi-Oh cards is I've always described it as this. Yu-Gi-Oh cards don't just tell you what the card does, they tell you how the card functions. So you are basically reading a language, right? Like PSET and the way things are laid out. Like when you read a Yu-Gi-Oh card, you're not just reading, oh, Nightmare Unicorn spins a card, right? Because you could put that in another game, it would just say like Battle Cry, return a card, right? But in Yu-Gi-Oh, you need the functioning like code of the card, which is like when this card is link summoned, target, like these are all important factors. So that's why Yu-Gi-Oh card text feels so bloated, which is why I'm more extreme with this. Even at local, like I never ask my opponent, what am I dealing with here? I read their cards.
Exactly,
and the reason for that is that they don't know how their own cards work. Right?
True. That happens so much more than you think.
Yeah, because my opponent tells me, oh, this card has does this. Like, for example, imagine you're playing against SP Little Knight for the first time. Your opponent summons SP, they try banner something. Oh, but they didn't make it with an extra deck monster. So they just don't know how their own cards work, right? Things like that can happen. So I always
when I was doing remote duels, like I played in probably like 20 remote duel events, and like this happened constantly where I was telling my opponents that you have a restriction. This is not, and like you aren't able to read your opponent's cards. I think that a lot of people probably got accidentally cheated at remote duel events because if you were not aware of not only what your deck did, but what every other deck did, like people just miss stuff. Like it's not intentional. People just miss stuff. The game is complicated.
So the second part here is like, as a sign of good faith, I surrendered 1 game to him the next time in a tour. What the fuck did you do that for? Is it different?
Yeah, don't do that.
Weird, right? Like, is that even allowed? I don't even know.
Yeah, like I feel like this guy's kind of been put under the thumb of these other dudes at his locals just because they're like super casual. So they have this like really casual mentality of like, I don't know, like competitiveness is not honorable. Like
isn't that, are we like outing this guy? Isn't that like literally against the, well, we'll just say
that
this. We'll just say this. Unofficial tournament, unofficial locals.
Yeah.
I wish he would have finished the sentence. I wish he would have been like, yeah, I gave him game 1 and then I kicked his ass game 2 and 3.
It was the peak of FTK in 2018 where I, Diabolos, went to my locals to roll out my Layer of Darkness control deck.
Is this Brian?
Is that what he plays?
Oh, they love layered dart. Oh my god.
He's a huge
Their apartment is a layer of dart. They got the whole setup. They're like, no, anyway.
It's important to say it was my first year as a duelist. Welcome to Yugioh, by the way, 2018. So I didn't really know about the state of the game and how terrorizing Firewall Dragon was. Regardless, it was the 3rd round and I was on a 1-1 record. As I'm searching for my name, I realize that I am paired up against someone that I've never seen before at my locals. We'll call him Ruin. Because I was late, I started the match with a game loss. By the way, how do you show up to round 3 of your locals late? Like what? Like...
Outside smoking.
Well,
I mean, that has to be what it is, bro.
Spoiler, this person is 12 years old in the story.
So, yeah, I mean, he's hitting the pen, bro. You think that you...
12-year-olds hitting the... Oh, no, not in 2018, surely. Because I was late, I started the match with a game loss, and before you know it, I ended up winning the first, or in this case, second game. Ruin goes like an ogre through his side deck, and we start the game.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but he just put that in, like, he's just calling him an ogre.
Is that just, like, mean? Is that just, like, an ad hominem? Like, what do you mean goes like an ogre through...
Give me side deck, eating his cards and ripping the sleeves
that's
apart.
What I'm picturing, right? Like, how would Shrek side deck? I don't fucking know.
He can't, like, physically hold the cards. His thumbs are too big. Ruin goes like an ogre through his side, and we started the second game where he sets 3 cards and passes turn. I summon my Lady Lilith and begin my shenanigans to end on triple Darkest Diabolos. And I ask him, end of main phase? Ruin proceeds to flip over 3 set cards. They are 3...
This is the scummiest thing I've ever seen, by the way. Like, reading ahead. Yeah, continue, sorry. This is so scummy.
Why are you spoiling? All right, and they flip over 3 set cards, and they're 3 copies of gift card. Stunned by this, I was waiting for some kind of reverse burn style effect, but no. Ruin looks me in the eye and says, I will give you 9,000 life points if you give me the game. The gears start turning in my 12-year-old brain for a moment, and I pause and think before excitedly clamoring, yes! And hurriedly, I start writing down the new life point total on my pad.
For next match, you know, next round, he gets those life points, I think.
Okay, you lose. Completely stunned, I realized what just happened. I truly thought this was a great trade.
I'm so confused.
This
Yeah,
is
no, I said
textbook
that.
sharking. That guy would be banned so fast if there was
Why?
a single judge at the event.
I don't
I've never seen
understand it
sharking
either.
done with. This is like the old the cheat back in the day that some guy would popularize, where like he would let his opponent draw a card, wait for them to shuffle
Drop
their
off.
hand, and then
Yeah,
go drastic drop off.
Yeah,
You're banned.
yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah, holy crap, that is exactly
This
what
is
it
the
I also
scummiest shit
don't
I've
get
ever
it.
heard. Like
I also don't they tie?
What
Ruin
is
flips
this-
over
what do you- what do you
gift
mean? It's
cards.
like, it's scummy in the sense, is this really cheating? It's just so dumb. It's like, what do you
Well, I
mean?
mean, it doesn't even make any sense.
it is cheating, yeah. No, because he's doing it in the like
What?
the okay you lose is because you accepted my offer to win trade. But they both if a judge was here, I am 90% sure the 12-year-old would be given like a warning and taught about like what the fuck just happened.
Yeah.
And the other guy would 100% be disqualified, if not banned. That is the scummiest shit ever. Fuck this guy, the worst person I've heard in any of these stories. Fuck
Wait.
these types of players. I hate them.
I also still don't understand it.
I don't know. Maybe he was trying to take advantage of a 12-year-old to like trade offer.
He says, I'm sorry, functionally, I just don't get it. Flip over 3 gift card, which says give your opponent
3K life.
3,000 life points, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
And he
9
says, I'll
total.
give you 9,000 if you give me the match.
Yeah.
So Gage,
Oh, so
Yeah.
he just admitted defeat. Are you
No.
stupid?
he basically he said
I'm
like I'll get basically
I'll give you life points if you concede. What does that even mean?
like by definition, even though it's like the dumbest trade ever, it is a bribe. You are bribing them with 9,000 life points to get the match. Like I know it doesn't make sense. It makes no sense.
I don't know,
but
man.
textbook,
He
he
hit
is
his opponent.
offering a bribe.
Bro, he
I
hit
am-
his opponent with the stupid check, and it passed. That is unbelievable. Yeah, if you concede, you could have 20 million life points. Holy fuck. What am I going to do with 20 million life points? What do you mean? Yeah, you got it. What the
He's
heck?
12, Gage. He's 12. His
12?
frontal lobe hasn't developed. Shut up. He's
Yeah,
Not even
he's
close,
12.
dude. I can't wrap my. Is dude still
You never
watching
got scammed in
Dragon
RuneScape,
Tales?
Gage?
What
That's
is it?
never
Is he still
happened to
watching
you,
Dora
like-
the Explorer? How does that make any sense?
Bro,
He's a
17K
7th
life,
grader.
let's go.
Give him some slack, dude. Fuck.
Like
it's obvious.
maybe he thought that it would just be like, oh well, I guess I have to give him another turn because I only have 9K on the board, right? Or I don't know, like
I literally cannot wrap my head around
it's like when
this.
you trade with
Crazy.
someone and it's like, oh, I'll give you like 3 secret rares for your secret rare, and it's just like some absolute jank like card like pack filler, and you give me your engraver. Like maybe it's that kind of scam.
I don't know. This is insane. This is like exactly as Doug said. Like I've heard this before with drastic drop off specifically, and I'm pretty sure it's like a DQ. Like a DQ.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's really because I just don't know what the intention was here.
Just
I think
tricking a kid, really. Like
I
that's
think
that's
that's
what the
what it
whole
is.
thing where it's like if there was a judge there, like you are just tricking a child. Like, do
Yeah.
you feel good about winning locals from tricking? I mean, like, fuck that guy.
I don't know, man. Judging by, I'll give you 9,000 if you give me a match. They're both 0-4, like guaranteed. This is.
He's 12,
round
Gabe.
5.
He's 12 years
They're-
old.
He didn't win locals for this. He did it because he's an asshole.
Yeah,
shitty.
I mean, I'm laughing so much just because of how ridiculous and absurd this is, but it's so absurd that I'm like dubious as to even if this like happened. Like, how did he accept this? But-
It almost doesn't feel real.
Yeah.
Like, I like how they haven't seen him since. Dude popped off with the greatest mind game of all time and just vanished.
Out into
He's
the
out
sunset.
Yugi.
Did one A locals and then bounced forever.
Yeah,
Permanently.
he's gone.
No, because probably the guy went to another locals and then got banned like in 2
Yeah.
seconds because this is all he does. Like,
Thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode of Drama Time. Remember to check the outro to follow the instructions how you can submit your story. And thank you to Doug and Gaga for taking part in this week's. Did you have a good time?
Oh, always a good time, bud.
oh yeah, I had a great time.
I love judging people. Oh my god, it's my favorite.
Never commit crimes in front of Doug. You will be reported.
Sorry? Like, lock me up for reporting crimes. Yeah. Fuck.
This guy, he's not doing crimes. So you want to submit your story for us to debate. You want a moral paragon like Gage to be the judge of your dilemma? Really?
Well, come clean my dirty diaper, bro, because I am mopping this shit up.
Well, send in your story to farfayugioh@gmail.com and we'll read it out and stream and discuss it for drama time. Make sure to replace real names and locations with monster and field spell names while also keeping out Konami staff for legal reasons.